My name's Shawn Planko. I'm the engineering manager at Expedia here in Ann Arbor. And I'm here today to talk to you about tech culture. And I believe tech culture is a huge difference maker from building and running an amazing team. Now, I'm going to throw you into some stuff here shortly, but before I do that, I know you all have 3 pressing questions about travel. So I'm going to answer them, and then you have no more questions about travel ever. Number 1, I can't get you a free flight, I'm sorry. I have to pay for them as well. Number 2, the best day to travel is Wednesday, most of the time, so make sure you check that. And number 3, our marketing team has no current plan to bring back the old slogan, Expedia.com. That jingle, it's in the archives for now. So, with that being said, we're going to jump into a definition from Wikipedia. I'm not going to read it to you because it gets a little dry. But what I am here today is to talk to you simply about what I believe good culture is in the tech industry. So what is good culture? What defines good culture? So I've been working since I was 15, and I'm not going to date myself, but I've been through many jobs. I've worked with some amazing people, some amazing companies. And through that time, there's always been 1 or 2 things off, and I could never truly put my finger on it until I came to Expedia 7 years ago. Literally, when I walked in the door, I knew exactly what I had been missing as a leader, as an employee. It was a team with good culture. And what do I mean by that? What I mean simply is a team that strives to be better every single day. A team that works hard but plays hard. A team that when you make a mistake, it's not the end of the world. We learn from failure. When we were all about 1 year old, I don't know if you remember that time in your life, but when you're about 1, we tried to walk. We failed. We fell over and over and over until finally we got it right. Here I am on stage 42 years later, boom, I can walk. Thing is, we lose that as we grow as adults. We forget that we can fail. We forget that it's okay to fail. We actually learn through failure. And that, in culture, was probably the best thing I learned when I came to Expedia. So with that being said, we're going to move into hiring. Why is hiring an important part of culture? Well, you're bringing in new people. You have to make sure they fit with your team, etc. When we started to grow the Expedia office here in Ann Arbor, we had 8 employees. We are now at 23. It's been about 3-year progress to get there. Over the time I've interviewed, I can't tell you how many people, but one of the nagging questions that always comes from folks, well, as you grow, aren't you going to lose your culture? And I've simply answered them, no, we're just going to find the right person for the right job, and they're going to fit in just fine. So far, that method has been successful. But we also, through the hiring process, we look for people who are passionate, driven, communicate effectively, and most importantly, are critical thinkers. One of my most favorite questions in hiring for culture, looking for a culture fit, is asking this one question. If a zombie apocalypse were to happen right now, what would you do? And they have to look through the room to see what they have. I make them critically think about what is in front of them. Because they came in interviewing for a tech job, but I'm throwing something completely different at them. So that in itself is one of the most creative answers people will come up with. And it's quite interesting. You'd be surprised. So now that you all know that, I can no longer ask that question in future interviews. What I want to talk about next is listening in culture. What do I mean by that? I mean active listening, which means not only verbal, also means nonverbal. Now, my wife might argue with you that I'm not an active listener all the time, but I do my best. I'm working on it. It's a failure in progress, right? So listening is very important because as a team grows, as a team is doing things, a good leader or a good employee will notice that maybe things aren't going the way they should. Maybe that's the time to pull people aside or know when not to pull people aside and have a conversation to make sure things are okay. Need to keep the culture in check, and that's a good thing that most leaders will end up doing. Next, and lastly, actually, I want to talk about productivity, because in the end, it's why we focus on culture. Our goal is to have great and amazing productivity from our team members, and as good leaders in the tech industry, and I think Ann Arbor carries this very well, is that it's all about culture, getting that relationship, building it. Here we are in an amazing event today, Tech Trek and Tech Talk doing this. So I would challenge each of you in your jobs, your careers, your life, to ask yourself, is this the right culture for me? Is it the culture I want, and what can I do to change it? Other than that, if you're participating in Tech Trek, we are in a temporary location this year. For those of us who know, we're usually in Nichols Arcade as we build out our new office. We're over on 5th, just north of Liberty. Please stop by, ask me any questions about culture, travel, etc. I promise I'll answer more questions about travel if you want. And thank you for your time.